The wedding was supposed to be a joyful milestone, a celebration of love. Instead, it became a painful memory, one that I struggled to forget. And the reason? My husband. It had taken us years to finally reach this day, mostly due to scheduling conflicts, or, more accurately, his reluctance to make an effort. In fact, I didn't even meet his parents until the wedding itself. That alone should have been a red flag. Despite my unease, I clung to Sam's reassurances and went through with the ceremony. At some point, I caught the sound of muffled laughter. At first, I dismissed it as nerves playing tricks on me, but then, I glanced at the in-laws' table. They were laughing, not at me, but close enough to make my stomach twist. I wanted to believe it was some harmless joke orchestrated by Sam, but deep down, I already knew better. The ceremony blurred by in a daze, then came the outfit change. I slipped away to the dressing room, eager for a moment alone. My second dress was bold, red and black, dramatic yet striking. It had been Sam's suggestion. As a video production professional, he had an eye for aesthetics, so I went along with it. As I made my way down the hallway, the plush carpet softened each step, grounding me for just a moment. Then, I heard it, a sharp, biting voice. I froze. Instinctively, I pressed myself against the wall and listened. That was when I learned what my in-laws truly thought of me. My name is Emma Miller. I work as a saleswoman for a foreign company. My days consumed by deadlines and negotiations. Most nights, I finish work at 6, eager to return to my apartment. That night was no different, except for the 2 WhatsApp messages waiting for me. One was from a friend. I flagged it for later. The other was from Sam. I'd like steak for dinner tonight. We had no steak at home, so I made a detour to the butcher. I even bought the premium cut from Sam's hometown, on my credit card. Of course, when I got back, I went straight to the kitchen. Sam poked his head in. I'll set the table. It's okay, I said, urging him to focus on his video project. The deadline was approaching, and I knew how much it meant to him. Grateful, he returned to work, and I, as always, filled the silence with memories. 7 years ago, we met through a mutual friend. One night, during a date, a group of rough-looking men tried to harass us. Sam, quick-witted as ever, pulled out his camera. "What do you think your company would say if I sent them this?" he had asked, steady and fearless. That calm confidence drew me in. Despite being 5 years younger, he seemed dependable, someone I could trust. I worried about his unstable career, but I chose to support him anyway. For years, I balanced my career against the hope of marriage. Sam asked me to wait until his work stabilized. I agreed outwardly, but inside, I longed for certainty. The loneliness of waiting, of always being the one making sacrifices, began to wear on me. I tried talking to him, but he evaded deeper conversations. One morning, as I prepared breakfast, I caught my reflection in the mirror. Not young, not old, just waiting. That night, lying beside him, the words slipped out before I could stop them. "Sam, am I not attractive anymore?" He turned to me, startled. "Of course you are. You're responsible, hardworking, and an amazing cook. That's what I love about you." "Then let's get married," I blurted. A pause, then a smile. "Really? You think I'd joke about something like this?" That night, he promised me forever. We set a wedding date almost immediately. Sam insisted on picking the perfect day, brushing off my concerns. "But my parents can't make it on those dates," I protested. "Then they won't attend," he said simply. His unwavering tone unsettled me, but after 7 years, I knew better than to argue. I tried to focus on the positives, tried to convince myself that everything would be fine. My father's health prevented him from attending, and though Sam apologized, he did little to accommodate. And so, on the morning of our wedding, I met his parents for the first time, a stranger in the family I was about to join. 7 years of love had brought me here, yet, as I stood at the altar, I couldn't ignore the ache in my chest, the nagging realization that I had given up too much. My time, my career aspirations, perhaps even my sense of self. I had rehearsed my introduction over and over. "Hi, I'm Emma. I look forward to being part of the family." As I lifted my gaze to the clear blue sky, I found myself wondering, was this really the future I had waited for? "Sam, how's work going? Have you been eating properly?" his mother asked, her voice warm with concern. "It's tough, but I'm managing," Sam replied with an easy smile. "I'd love some of Mom's homemade food again." I stood beside him, invisible, as he chatted with his family. I felt an unsettling emptiness. My own parents weren't here. I had no one to turn to. No familiar face to anchor me in this sea of strangers. A baby's cry pierced the air behind me. Turning, I saw a young woman, barely in her 20s, juggling an infant in one arm while holding a small boy's hand with the other. Something about the boy made my stomach tighten. His features bore a striking resemblance to Sam. "Molly?" I ventured, assuming she was Sam's sister. She scoffed, clicking her tongue. "Congratulations, big brother," she said, her voice laced with mockery. Or should I say, my condolences? I forced a chuckle, unsure how to respond. Her tone wasn't just off, it was sharp, cutting through the fragile warmth I had tried to hold on to. When I attempted to introduce myself to the rest of Sam's family, his mother, Emily, interrupted with a beaming smile. "Thanks to Sam, we're having this beautiful reception at such a fancy hotel. It's almost too much," she gushed. Molly chimed in with a joke about extravagant spending, and soon, the entire family was laughing at inside jokes I didn't understand. A dull ache formed behind my temples. Sam was smiling at me, but his expression was distant, like I was just another guest at our own wedding. The ceremony itself felt like a dream, but not the kind I had once imagined. My parents weren't there to walk me down the aisle, to give me their blessing. I felt small, hollow, as if I were simply filling a role in someone else's story. And then came the whispers. After changing into my second dress, a bold red and black ensemble carefully chosen to complement Sam's outfit, I stepped into the dimly lit hallway leading to the reception. The plush carpet muffled my footsteps, but not the voices drifting from around the corner. "She only married Sam for his money," someone muttered. "She's spoiled, we'll need to straighten her out," another voice added, smug and amused. I froze, my breath hitching. "She's just putting on a nice act, but we know her true intentions." A chill crept down my spine, my mind raced. Why did they think this about me? Then, it hit me, Sam must have told them I was the one who hesitated to marry. He had painted me as the reluctant bride. No wonder they saw me as some kind of gold digger. Laughter echoed down the hallway as Sam's family strolled past, their voices careless, unaware of my presence. "She can do the dishes, at least," Emily said lightly. "She'll never manage both morning and evening chores," another voice teased. The humiliation burned through me. The tradition of the second outfit, meant to symbolize a bride embracing her new family, suddenly felt like a cruel joke. I didn't want to blend into this family, I wanted to escape. Then I heard Sam's voice. "What are you guys talking about?" he asked casually. "Oh, just how lucky you are to be marrying such a unique woman," Molly teased. They laughed. Sam didn't defend me. That was it. The final thread of hope snapped. Without thinking, I stepped into the light, marching past them. "Hey, wait, what's going on?" Sam called after me. I ignored him. My hands shook, but I kept moving, straight to the host. "I need your help," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "Play this audio file, please." The host hesitated, glancing at my phone, then, nodding, he connected it to the speakers. The room fell silent as the recording played. Every sneering remark, every whispered insult, every cruel laugh reverberated through the venue. Gasps rippled through the guests. Some looked at me with disapproval, but my friends and colleagues stepped forward, their outrage drowning out the murmurs. I exhaled, the lump in my throat easing just enough for me to speak. "Given the circumstances," I said, my voice unwavering, "I hereby declare this wedding cancelled." And with that, I turned on my heel and walked out. Out of the venue. Out of my wedding dress. Out of Sam's life. When I returned to my apartment, my phone was already flooded with missed calls from Sam. I picked up one. "What the hell, Emma? Canceling the wedding? Do you know what you've done? The guests are furious, everything's ruined." "Well, since I paid for the wedding," I said coldly, "I think I had the right to cancel it." "You're being ridiculous," he snapped. "No, Sam, I was ridiculous for not seeing your true colors sooner." My voice didn't waver. "I, Emma Miller, vow to divorce you." And I hung up. That night, Sam didn't call again. Instead, I called my mother. "Mom," I whispered, tears finally breaking free, "I just divorced Sam. Can I come home?" Her voice, gentle and unwavering, wrapped around me like a lifeline. "Of course, sweetheart, come home." So I did. A week passed. I was beginning to feel lighter, freer. My parents never blamed me, never told me I should have tried harder. They simply let me heal. Then, one evening, my phone buzzed. "Sam." Without preamble, he said, I need to talk to you. I'm coming over. Then he hung up. My father, watching me carefully, pushed back his chair. Who was that? My ex-husband, I said, the words coming easier now. His jaw tightened. Honey, my mother said calmly, standing, let's prepare the living room, we should be polite. I inhaled deeply. Emma Miller had made the mistake of waiting 7 years for a man who never truly saw her. She wasn't about to make another. My father sighed, trying to shoulder some of the burden. I stood as well, my voice firm. Dad, I'm 35 now, I need to handle this myself, please, let me. He studied me for a moment, then nodded, his stern expression softening. You've grown, I'm proud of you. Minutes later, the doorbell rang. When I opened it, Sam stood with his parents and Molly, their postures tense with barely concealed indignation. The urgency in their eyes was undercut by the defensiveness in their stance. Please wait in the living room, I said evenly, stepping aside. My family will join shortly. They shuffled in, settling into the seats my mother had set out for them. Sam wasted no time. How dare you ruin my wedding, he demanded, his tone rehearsed. My wedding, not ours, the words clanged in my mind, making his entitlement all the more glaring. I didn't flinch. You've made our family a laughingstock, his mother, Emily, chimed in, her voice carefully measured to sound reasonable in my parents' presence. Molly scoffed, poor big brother, how's he supposed to remarry with a divorce record? I met her gaze, my voice steady. I have a divorce record too, and I was the one who filed for it. Her smirk faltered. Finally, Jack, Sam's father, spoke up in an attempt to reclaim control. It's not just about the money, he said, his tone meant to sound authoritative. You've damaged our reputation, how are you going to make this right? My father, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. His voice was steady, deliberate. Let's set aside the fact that you didn't invite us, the bride's parents, to the wedding. What you're asking for is financial compensation, correct? A tense silence settled over them. Jack glanced at Emily and Molly, their indignation wavered. Jack straightened his shoulders, attempting to sound firm. It's not just about money, he insisted. You hurt our feelings, that's the issue here. But my father was unmoved. Marriage is a partnership between families. How do you explain disregarding ours and making decisions solely for your own convenience? His composed, logical demeanor made their earlier arguments crumble. Their voices lost their edge, their righteous anger reduced to awkward sips of tea. Then, another knock at the door. Molly's husband, Henry, had arrived late. He stepped inside, but the moment he saw my father, his face drained of color. He froze, his hands trembled. What's wrong, Henry? Molly asked, oblivious. Tell them off like you always do. But Henry didn't. Instead, he swallowed hard and bowed his head. I sincerely apologize for everything. What are you doing? Jack barked, confusion twisting his features. I decided it was time to end the charade. Henry works for a subsidiary of my father's company, I said, my voice calm but unwavering. My father is the president. Silence. Their faces twisted in shock, processing the revelation. Unfazed, my father leaned back, his gaze sharp yet measured. Let me clarify something. During her time with Sam, Emma covered all their living expenses, including the allowance Sam sent to you. Jack turned to Sam, his face dark with disbelief. Is that true? Sam lowered his head, unable to deny it. The room dissolved into chaos, their earlier confidence crumbling into hushed arguments and frantic whispers. As they scrambled to make sense of their situation, I stood. I also helped Sam find work in video production, I said, voice cool, but I won't be assisting him anymore. And with that, I watched them unravel. 6 months later, the last time I saw Sam was at the family court. After months of mediation, the majority of our shared assets were returned to me. Sam was left with nothing but his video equipment. His professional and financial life had unraveled, forcing him to move back in with his parents, who now resented him for everything. 1 year after our divorce, I devoted myself to my career, eventually taking over my father's company. The weight of my past no longer held me down. At a colleague's wedding, I found myself standing among a crowd of women when the bride tossed her bouquet. Without thinking, I caught it. Laughter erupted around me. What does that mean? A friend teased. I smiled, turning the bouquet in my hands, its petals soft beneath my fingertips. It means I've had enough of marriage, I said. voice light but certain. My devotion was no longer to a man who never saw my worth. It was to myself.